Test, test, test. What's going on out there, you guys? Movement Studios, what up? So it went right. It went great, huh? Yes, sir. I've learned this, man. You're never as good as you think you are, but you're never as bad as you think you are. A lot of times we look at other musicians and we're like, especially if they play the same instrument as you. He says she looks like. That is hilarious. Um, but like for instance, I'll look at. I'm very intimidated by other drummers. Very intimidated. I have to constantly remind myself, okay, I don't suck. I'm not the greatest in the world, but I don't suck. I'm capable. I have to remind myself of that because I very much like I've talked myself out of gigs and auditions. You know, just from even getting to the point now where I'm like, okay, if enough people tell you the same thing, everybody can't be lying. So I must be pretty decent. Um, that's why I always say you're never as good as you think you are, but you're never as bad as you think you are. You're somewhere in the middle. You're always somewhere in the middle. You know, I think what makes you good is you being able to express who you are. Instead of like I think a lot of us we find ourselves chasing who's this drummer or who's this drummer, and I gotta be like him. I gotta be like whoever, this person and that person, and then we don't realize that we gotta be like us. That's it. Nobody can. You can only be the best you. Like for me, like for instance, I have a lot of chops because I spent a lot of time. So I got to be like this drummer, and I got to be like that 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 drummer. And now I'm spending hours unlearning all of the stuff that all of the chops that I've gotten from other people, which is why it's part of the reason why I do what I do. You know, because like the best way to get good is to film yourself, or record yourself. Film yourself or record yourself. You know, um, and that's what this is. So, you know, um, but I'm not surprised, man, that like you made it and you met the band and it all went good. I'm not surprised, man. It always goes good, bro. We talk ourselves out of things going good, but it always goes good. But I'm glad to see that it went good for you. Um, I'll say this: being good is being able to play the situation. That's being good. You know, you could have 1,000 chops. You could play, Stravinsky on guitar. You could be the second coming of Andre Segovia, who's like the greatest classical guitarist. You could be Yngwie Malmsteen or Tosin Abasi or whoever. Fill in the blank. Um, but if you don't know how to fit into a situation, they're not going to say, "Oh well, he's really good. It just didn't, he." They're going to say, "You suck." How was he? Yeah, he sucked. You know what I mean? And then they'll say, he kind of. They'll say this: he sucked. He played all over the place. Why? Because you're, you know what I mean? They're not going to say you're good. They're not going to say he had really good chops. They're going to say he's good. They're going to say he sucked, bro. He played all over the place. He's like vomit chop dude. Like all he did was just chop all over. You know what I mean? What makes a musician good is if he can fit into a situation. If he can read the room, if he could play the room, if he could, you know, get with other musicians and play what he's asked to play without putting so much stank on it. Which there's nothing wrong with that. If they ask you, if they ask you to, put your own stank on it, okay, then that's cool. But if you walk in like, you know, with this preconceived notion of, oh, these guys are there and I'm here, they're not gonna mention anything about your chops. They're gonna be like, he sucks. He played all over the place. So you are good, man. If you can fit in a situation, you're obviously good. So that's what it is, bro. Just playing in a situation, bro. Because I'm gonna tell you this: at a certain level, everybody's got chops. Everybody's got chops. You're not gonna see it. The consumer's not gonna see it because they're playing the situation. Now, if they're in that's where you get guys who play just funk, and it's just this. Or they're this bass drum sucks. This bass pedal sucks. Or if that's what they want you to play, that's what you're gonna hear. And then you see that same guy and he's like, the reaction is like, wow, I didn't know he was that good. Well, the gig he had, he wasn't asked to play it like that. He was asked to play this. So it's how you fit in, man. You know, that's why, like, one of the earliest lessons that I learned just from just research, because I never had lessons, I never took lessons. I'm self-taught. But I heard a guy say this. He was saying, look, man, always be over qualified for a situation. He was like, learn as many styles as possible so that A, when you walk into the room, you're not surprised. You can play the language of the style. And B, if you know other styles, then you give the band director or the songwriter the freedom to go in directions that they never even thought of, that they probably would like to, but since you could pull it off, it'll inspire them to be like, oh man, I really, like, if you're like, if you're doing like Latin stuff or something like that, or like Mozambique or whatever, just whatever, you're playing straight ahead stuff. Like, I was in a hip hop band, and we went from this. Like, and the only reason why we did that is because they were like, okay, Mark can play straight ahead. They just saw me during rehearsal warming up, and I was just like, That's hard. Ah. Anyway, um, but yeah, they realized, like, oh, Mark can kind of swing. Okay, so it was like, yo, like I literally just started playing straight ahead, and they were like, yo, man, we could use that, And the song that we were playing, it was like, yo, right here, let's go into straight ahead, and I was like, all right. So, it helps it helps to know different styles, or at least know the language and be. Yeah, I'm self-taught, man. We couldn't afford. Well, I'm not gonna say that. Um, what's going on? Um, um, Sean and Mickey, what is up? What is up? What is up with you guys? Peace. Hope you guys are doing well. God bless you guys. But yeah, man, I'm self-taught, man. Um, but but um, yeah, man. So everything I did, I just I did a lot of reading, man. I did a lot of reading, a lot of studying, a lot of watching interviews, asking questions. Like I'm bold. I don't care who you are. I'm gonna ask you. I've always been like that. You know, like I've asked guys, like, hey, how do you play this? And I'll tell you what, like I've gotten a chance to ask, some pretty reputable people. Um, you know, like I don't care who you are. Like and I've had guys invite me. And we have social media, bro. You can DM people, you know. But I remember one guy, Justin Brown. He plays for Thundercat. Um, Matter of fact, I remember Thomas Pridgeon, Thundercat's original drummer. I remember this is back when X was called Twitter. Um, I would just sit there and chat back and forth to him about different things. And then I remember I would DM him questions like, "Yo, how do you do this and how do you do that?" and blah 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 blah. You can't do it too much because a lot of guys give lessons, and that's after a while they're gonna be like, "All right, bro, you gonna pay for a lesson or what?" But I would just I would ask him, and then when Justin Brown took over the drum position, he literally invited me backstage, bro. Um, like I followed him, and we would kind of chat back and forth. We would tweet back and forth at each other, and he would like it, or he would retweet it or whatever. So I would ask him about his technique, like, yo, how do you get such and such and such and such? Like, you know, um, And dudes will give you advice, man. He gave me some really good advice. You know, he was just like diversify your skill set. You know, because like he goes from Herbie Hancock to Thundercat to Evan Marion to like he was just like, man, diversify your skill set, man. He was like, learn as wide a range of music as possible. Learn as many languages as possible. Or in term musically, learn as many. He was like, just he was like, man, and he was like, it's no different than anything else, man. If you want to communicate with the world, you got to learn a bunch of different languages. He said, music is a form of communication. You got to learn a bunch of different languages of it, whether it's Latin, whether it's jazz, whether it's rock, whether it's funk, whether it's a psychedelic, whatever, hippie, weed head music, whatever, metal, whatever, and he was like incorporate it into your own personal style, you know, whether it's stretch music or whatever. And I was like, So even Dana Hawkins, he's played with a bunch of people. Evan Marion, he's played with Esperanza Spalding. He's played with Michelle and Cello. I caught him in Guitar Center, and he also plays bass, and I play bass. So we just had a little bass jam. This is in Atlanta when Guitar Center was off of 85, the north side of 85 North. And I would just ask him different questions, and I asked him like, yo, how was it like in Berkeley? And he was like, this is weird. He goes, he told me some personal stuff that I don't want to talk about. But he was like, man, it's not really more than, he said it's cool if you're planning on being a teacher and you get a degree. He was like, but I could have taken lessons from a local guy and and I would have been straight, but and I was like, all right, that's cool. Because I told him, I said, man, I'm insecure, man, because I've never had lessons. And then this is back when they let you play on the drums. We went back in the drum department, and we shedded. And another guy, I can't remember his name, David Fingers Hayes. He walked in. I knew who he was, but him and Dana knew each other. And he was just kind of like, yo, man. He's like, yo, who do you play for? I was like, nobody. I was like, outside of church, nobody. He was like, bro, you're good. So I knew, I was like, okay. It kind of was like, okay, it reassured me. But like, I asked questions. And if you don't be glazing them. Don't glaze them. But ask them serious questions like, yo, man, how'd you get that such and such sound on blah, blah, blah? Because people want to hear that stuff. They want to hear like, oh, okay. Like I remember one time, Dave Elitch, he was playing for the Mars Volta at the time, and he had a drum clinic. And, nobody was really, it was kind of like, so what? Blah, 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 blah. They didn't really know who he was. So I'm like, yo, bro, I got a question. And was I? Yeah, I was kind of tipsy off the liquor. I wasn't drunk, but I had a few drinks. This was at Guitar Center. So I walk in, I'm like, yo, bro, he used to be in a band called Daughters of Mara. I'm like, yo, what happened to that first Daughters of Mara album? And he looked at me like, what? You know about that? I was like, I said, yeah, what? So he goes, he was surprised. And he was like, oh, well, he was like, man, it got shelved, bro. He was like, Atlantic Records, somebody else took over in the department, like, that we were in, and they shelved the album. I was like, man, that was a good album. That was a classic album. He was like, thanks. So then I'm about to leave, and him and Brand Daler from Mastodon are sitting there talking. And he's like, yo, bro, come on over here. So we actually went out and had a couple drinks later on that night, man. So it was pretty cool, man. But people want to hear questions about them, or they want advice, man. So just get advice from people, bro. if you can DM them, DM them. You know, if you could, Gurgle Borlai, who is, you know, he's a monster. When I say a monster, he is a monster. He was recording in a huge room that sounded incredible, and I saw his interface, and I was like, and so I asked him, like everybody's like, oh, you're playing, it's so blah blah blah. They were glazing him, and I just DM'd him. I was like, bro, what kind of interface is that? I know it's red. I was like, is that a Scarlet? He's like, no, he named it was, it's a Focusrite, blah, 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 something else, something or other. I was like, oh, okay, thanks. So just ask, bro, you know? Manny, what up? I haven't seen you. But yeah, bro. But yeah, man. And I'm gonna say this: you're a guitarist, bro. Um, so guitarists love talking about themselves. Guitarists and lead singers, especially gear. I ask a lot of guitarists on how to record because they know. They know, bro. So, and a lot of times they're like, "Yo, man, you know a lot about guitars. You know a lot of. You're into some really, really good guitars." I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I started off playing guitar." Um, but yeah, so I ask him like, I'll ask guitarists, yo, what's going on with your rig, bro? Like, what kind of rig is that? Or if I see something interesting, I'll be like, yo, what is that in the corner? I don't know if that's a blah 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 and this and that. And they'll be like, no, it's not that. It looks like that, but why, and then they'll think like, man, this guy knows a lot, like he knows about gear, like he knows because he saw that and he thought it was a so and so and so and so, and I thought it was a so, you know what I mean? But just ask questions, bro. Ask questions. You know, it's like they're just people, bro. They're people, and they want to know, especially, man, if they're like sidemen, in that they're not the star, like, but they're playing in a situation where it's like they're playing for somebody. Um, I'm on stream. What's up? Huh? Colin is probably in the bed. Huh? She might be on a walk with mom. Mom went on a walk, so she's probably with mom. How can you, bro? It is hot. Your armpits gotta stink, bro. You don't? Oh, you got that from your mama. I sweat like a pig. Okay, you ready? Okay. Ew, that's nasty. Oh, he's right though. He's right. He's right. He's right. He's right. He's right. But yeah, man, just ask questions. Yeah, man, dude, bro, my son, man. Bro, I'm born and raised northerner. So, and I live in Atlanta, so I sweat like this. I'll get up and walk over there and sweat. My wife, she's from New Orleans. It's always hot and humid. She barely sweats. She'll be working out like, yeah, let's get it in. No sweat, no nothing. I'm like, and she's like, yeah, like, so he got that from his mom, because I am not like that. Um, but yeah. No way. He said crappy weather all year. That's like Alaska. Well, that's like Maine. Ugh. Yuck. Yuck. Yo, I love watching comedians podcasts because those jokers are hilarious, man. Ah, wow. His wife had a C-section and they wouldn't let him in the room. The doctor let me in on all four. My wife had four C-sections, and I saw all of them. It was like they were like, she got like an incision this big. It's like small, um, and it was like bloop, bloop, and but yeah, like I mean, like she and my wife she was awake during the whole time. She was just like, she's like, I feel pulling, ah, ah, and then, ah, but yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what he did to my wife. My wife was wide awake the whole time during all the C sections. Um, it was wild seeing it though. I was like, whoa! And then when they pulled, when it was wild. Our youngest, they pulled her out, and they said it's a girl. And they have like a sheet that's like, that's like my wife's half was up here, and I was there like, okay, honey, yes, and the doctors on the other side of the sheet, working on her, and they lifted her up, and they're like, it's a girl, and some of the juices landed on my wife's face. I was like, ugh! It was nasty. It was nasty. But yeah, it was, man, having kids is dope, bro. It's dope. It's the dopest thing. And they hear your voice. As the father, they know your voice. I realized that because with our first child, when she was being born, when my wife went into labor, she she was at risk of dying. It was like she was on a bungee. It was like the umbilical cord was a bungee cord. My wife's body was trying to push her out, but the umbilical cord was pulling her back. And her heart rate was going up. And they were like, well, she's got to have it. They told my wife, you got to have an emergency C-section, blah, 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 blah. So then I started talking to my daughter I started talking to my wife's belly. I was like, hey, it's okay, mama. I can't wait to see you. And the doctor was like, her heart rate's going down. And I just kept, and they were like, Dad, keep talking to her. And I kept talking to her. Her heart rate went down and everything. So they know you. They know your voice, man. They can hear, of course they hear their mother, but she heard my voice, So, it's wild. It's wild, bro. say this, man. Put it off as long as possible. Don't wait till you're like 50 years old to start having kids. But make sure two important things. I'll say this. I got married at 39 and we had our first child at 41. Make sure she's your best friend. You don't need to have sex with her to know if she's the right one. You can talk to her. And one of the ways you can tell is if when there's like some good news, you want to go right to this person and tell them, like, hey, guess what? Blah, 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 blah. Another way is no matter how much time you spend with her, you can never get tired of being around her. For me, it was like I knew on my first date. I knew on our first date. She knew on the first date too. We just didn't tell each other. But we knew. We were like, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So we knew, her friends knew. Her friends and my friends. Like, a friend of mine, he was like, yo, man, like, she's the one for you. I'm on stream. What's up? Did you put the shoehorns back in? Okay. You got some can. One of you guys got my shirt, man. Is that the reunion shirt? Oh, well, one of you guys got my reunion shirt, and you guys left me the schmedium shirt. It is. It's a schmedium. It's a small medium. It ain't even a medium. It's a schmedium. So I'm watching. Um, but but yeah, man. But like get all the hustling. When I say hustling, try to build your career and all that stuff. Making your money and this and that. Another way you could tell she's the one is if you're trying to do something and she's like, look, do I need to help you? You need help? Well, maybe we can do this, or maybe we can do that, or maybe we can, maybe, well, look, I know how to do this, so why don't I take care of this side and you take care of that side? So that's, part of the stuff, and trust me, like, a lot of guys are like, oh, like, the whole red pill stuff. Well, you got to test her out before you got to sleep around. No, you don't. That's the worst thing you could ever do. It's the worst thing you could ever do. Is sleep around with a bunch of different women. The reason why is because now it gives you something to compare to. And then you're never satisfied with your wife because you've been sleeping around with these other chicks, and you might be like, well, this chick was this way and that chick was that way. It ain't worth it, man. It breeds dissatisfaction, and I'm just saying all this from personal experience. And this is stuff, I talk to my two sons about, just stay focused, stay on your grind till you find the right one, and you'll find the right one, But yeah, man. And I say that to say, don't have kids until you're married. I know that's not popular, but I'm telling you, it makes things so much easier. There's a reason why there's a term baby mama drama, because it's drama, bro. Y'all might have broken up. You two have broken up and you're co-parenting, which sucks. It sucks co-parenting. But then I don't know about that because all of my kids are me and my wife. They all got the same mama, and I'm still with her. But I knew that wasn't what I wanted just from my friends, man. Like I had my first child at 41. Like, so I matter of fact, like my friends were they were like a lot of them were having like all these kids, and I don't know how it is in Denmark, but in America, if you got a bunch of kids, child support is coming after you. They will lock you up. If you don't pay child support, they will lock you up. And I said, I'm not doing that. And dudes, I mean, I've known dudes who were incredible musicians, and they had to give it up and get a day job because they didn't want child support locking them up for non-payment. So it's just not worth it, man. It's not worth it. And I know we're on. This is social media. Social media ain't gonna tell you that, bro. They're not gonna tell you the realities of life. You know, um, you can throw them. I've seen guys throw a monkey wrench in. You know what I mean? In there, or a friend of mine. I don't want to name names. He was a guy. The first band I was ever in. It was a punk band, power trio. One of my boys, Nicky Spons, was playing bass and singing. The other guy that I don't want to mention, he was the guitarist. He called me. He's like, "Yo, man, let's start a band." I was like, "All right." Me and him were always tight. We still are to this day. He got with this girl. This is, years later we split up. He's in one metal band. I'm in another metal band. And we're like, he would be touring, or like we would be touring in Germany or wherever. And he would be in like Austria. And we would kind of meet up. Yo, bro, what's up? Like, just we were always like the coolest of friends. And he got with this girl and got her pregnant. And she was a heroin addict. Now, got her pregnant and they were cool. She later on became a heroin addict. So he had to take custody. And like, he's a single father. So he had to stop playing music. He went to school for welding and he became a welder. You know. So it was crazy, bro. It was really, really crazy. As far as I know, she might be deceased now. But yeah, he had to raise his son to by himself, man. So it's just I've seen crazy situations, man, just from baby mama drama. Find the right woman, you know, and having kids won't be a hassle. It'll be a joy and not a burden, and it won't interfere with your pursuits. That's my little lesson. Yeah, I'm the same way too. I'm a loyal dude, you know. Uh, um, I've been there, bro. I've been there. I've been there. Um, this one girl, she was really, really cool. Um, yeah, she was really cool, but it just wasn't meant to be, man. It was not meant to be. We weren't meant to be together. As cool as she was, we weren't meant to be together. And I'll say a lot of times the chemistry you have, it might be because you're at the same place in your life at the time. Um, and the test is, the thing is, you might have good chemistry together. There was a few girls like that. There was another girl who was she was more of a friend. She was a really good friend. We dated, but she was a really good friend. But I knew I couldn't marry her because she was wild. She was wild, you know. And then the last time I talked to her, she was in Puerto Rico because her mom was Italian and her dad was Puerto Rican. And she was in Puerto Rico living with her dad. No, she wasn't even living with her dad. She was in Puerto Rico and she was messing with this one dude, and it was wild, man. This girl, she was trying to get with me back then. And then she tracked me down on Facebook and was like, "Hey, I was looking for you. I've had a few girlfriends say, hey, like, they're, they'd be married, with kids, and they want me to fly to their town and like, have a little fling, rent a room somewhere, and have a little fling with them." And I'm like, I'm happily married, so I just block them, block. But yeah, she was wild. And then there was another girl. Um, this Korean girl. It wasn't until I met my wife that I considered her the one that got away. I'd always thought like, man, I wonder. And we kept in touch for years. Um, but she always wondered like if we stayed together, what would have happened. And we were open with it. And then we kind of lost touch. And in the time that we lost touch, I met my wife, and I knew we weren't meant to be, and me and my wife were meant to be when I forgot about her. I completely, the thought of her just like I didn't. It wasn't like, oh, she's not the one that got away. I forgot about her. Like I completely forgot about her. You know. So you know. And not only that, man, but my wife is like my best friend, bro. Well, she's one of my best friends. My other best friends are male. Um, but she's the number one best friend. So you gotta be in love with them, you gotta love them, and you gotta like them. You know, cause you know what I mean. You may not know. You only got one thing in common, and it's like sleeping together. That don't work, man. And then outside of the bedroom, you hate each other. Nah, I'm not a proponent of that, man. I'm not a proponent of the premarital stuff. It may not be popular, but I'm not a proponent of it. It causes problems. You know, it really does. It causes problems. You know, like it it really does. It causes confusion. It causes problems. It just doesn't. That's not what it was meant for, man. Humans are lifelong partners. You know, um, and I'm at the age now where I see a lot of my friends. Like I was in this one band, Slink, and the lyricist, he's happily married with kids. The percussionist, happily married with kids. I'm happily married with kids. And the bassist, this is another band. This is a completely separate band. But the bassist in this band, you know, we went through our phase where, girls were like, we were passing around chicks, But, Ronnie and Trav weren't with that. We kind of matured, man, and we were like, no, man, that's not cool. We didn't like it. We were just like, we're really here for music. You know, the girls are just distractions. And the bass player he was playing the ladies. And now he's got one, two, three kids by two different women. You know, he's lonely. He ain't got no woman. And we're old, bro. I'll be 60 in 3 months. it's, it's kind of like what Drake said. Nobody wants to be 70 and alone. Nobody wants to be 60 and alone. Nobody wants to be 50 and alone. Nobody wants to be 40 and alone. You can have all the money in the world. Who you coming home to? An empty house, and you're listening to the smoke detector go beep. Like, it's kind of corny, bro. It's corny and it's lonely. You know. Email, what up? Yeah, yeah. She's a year older than you. He said they're annoying. Yeah, yeah. I'm 59, and it catches up quick, bro. Like I'm 59. I don't feel 59. I feel about 35. I feel about 35. Um, I feel about 80 in terms of wisdom. I've experienced a lot, man. But I feel about 35, man. I don't feel old, bro, at all, man. You know. So, um, but yeah, man. I like to kind of share experiences, man. Cause people on social media, they're not gonna do it, bro. They're not gonna share wisdom. You know what I mean? And you know, I think that's important, man. I think as an older person, it is your responsibility to share everything you've learned to the next generation. It is your responsibility. Or like you don't go through life learning all these lessons just to hoard them and be like, figure it out on your own, my brother. No. You're supposed to share that stuff, man. You're supposed to so the next generation doesn't make the same mistakes, man. It's called accumulative knowledge. You know what I mean? Um, we stand on the shoulders of the generation before us. Like at least most of us do. Like a lot of what I've learned, I've learned just from like learning, actually, like the hard knocks of making mistakes, man. Making a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. Thankfully, I ain't got 1,001 kids out there, or you know, or I don't have lifelong enemies because I screwed this guy over and I stuck him up and robbed his house and he knows who I. No, I don't have. You know, I feel like in a way, I was kind of spared that stuff. But yeah, man, yeah. Gandalf. I don't have the beard. I think too. Part of why I'm healthy, because I always looked at. I mean, drums is such a physical instrument. You have to, like, I find that I play best when I'm in tip top shape. You know, like that's why I have a gym in my house. Like I've got like not the little no, I have an exercise bike, a heavy bag. I have a speed bag. I have a elliptical, squat rack, bench rack, lat pull down machine, barbells and dumbbells, and you know, I have a gym where you can actually sit there where like two or three people could. I'm about to put another television in there too, because what happens is there starts to become arguments. Well, I want to watch this. No, I want to watch this. No, I want to watch this. So I'm gonna have a TV on one side and a TV. I already have a TV on one side, so I'm gonna have a TV on one side, a TV on the other side. It's only right. But um, but yeah, man, I early on I realized like I looked at the drummers that I looked up to. They were all like kind of stocky and all of that. And I was a skinny, scrawny kid. So I wanted to build muscles so I could play with power and this and that. So I started working out early, man. I started working out early. And then I went through a period where I was just lazy, man. I didn't want to do anything. I was eating horribly. I was eating like garbage, junk food and stuff. And I just didn't have the energy to play. I didn't have the power. I didn't have the stamina. I just was like, ugh, horrible. Um, so that's when I started thinking, okay, I play the best when I'm healthy. I play the best when I'm eating the right foods. You know, so I just, I always either lived in a complex with a gym or I had a home gym. You know, whether it's in the garage or wherever. Um, so I think a lot of why I feel the way I feel, and probably a lot of the reason why I look the way I look, is because I've always maintained some type of healthy lifestyle. You know. All right, I'm gonna find out what's going on with my sons. Um, they're done with school. My youngest daughter, I think I took her tablet. She's doing too much with the social media thing, so I was like, "Give me that. Go do your work." Okay, Daddy. You know, you got work to do. Okay, and she starts feeling sad. I'm like, Holly, do you wanna get promoted like your friends, right? Yeah. I'm like, do you want to get left back? No. You got to do your work. Plus, we have a friend who's a tutor, and this weekend coming up, she's gonna be spending the weekend over there. You know, with tutoring and all that stuff. So rhythm, melody, music. Thank you, John. What up? Yeah, I'll be back later.